So I saw this story about Kim Belair, but I don't know the details or anything like that.
What would you like to know?
So was this recent?
No. So before she was a games consulting grifter, she was a podcasting grifter. And so she started a series of podcasts. The first one was The Sexiest Pod, or The Sexiest Podcast, where every single week she and the co-founder of Sweet Baby Inc., the two of them would talk and rank things that they found sexy. So it's not normal things. It's like the sexiest tree, the sexiest spices, the sexiest Friends person, the sexiest Smash Bros character, the sexiest X-Men, the sexiest mammal. And so there's only 4 of them, unfortunately, that we've been able to find, but there are a total of 60 some odd episodes, and we've seen the titles. And I actually went through and autistically mapped the entirety back down to 2016 of every single person that they had on the show. And the Super Smash Bros. Episode, I listened to it in totality, and she goes on about wanting to basically have sex with Bowser. She thinks Bowser is an absolute bondage daddy. She genuinely believes it, and she admitted to scrolling Tumblr obsessively to see Bowser porn. She said that sometimes he had a turtle pee-pee and sometimes he had a mammalian pee-pee. To further this, though, she later on another podcast that we have audio for admits that she finds antelope sexy. Why is this important? Because she has a bunch of antelope skulls on her shelf. Now, the funniest part of this to me isn't all of that, but her co-host, which is the co-founder of SBI, said in a serious tone, "Who is Bowser?" while talking on Super Smash Bros. Character roster. She also had no idea who Mr. Game & Watch was, and she also had no idea how Sheik worked when it came to Zelda Sheik transformation, but because she is gender neutral, that's a safe horny character.
Yep. I have one reply.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Go ahead,
It
Savvy.
gets funnier. In early, I think 2017 or late 2016, they attempted to do another podcast. They, however, misrepresent themselves by linking to it from their sexiest podcast over to this other one, and they wanted to do a weekly podcast, the same people hosting it, about wrestling. So they said, every pay-per-view, we're going to go ahead and do an episode on wrestling. They made it to 2 episodes before they realized there was no fucking market for these 2 delusional individuals to talk about wrestling.
Yeah.
The usual suspects are connected to them, and almost every single guest that they had on is connected to Ubisoft. Now, I know Kim Belair used to work there, but the fact that she had access to so many people who have then since gone on to work for other studios, which they are on the client list of SBI, that is a bit telling. So they allowed me to... Would you like to see the web, just briefly?
Yes. Yes.
I can show you the visual representation. This is the podcast. I'm just going to zoom out to show you what one Twitter account led to.
What the fuck?
This is just one Twitter account. And so from here, this is one of my favorite tweets. Tomorrow, it's a family affairs as Kim Belair's brother stops by to talk about the sexiest cartoon dog.
So
they do this twice.
Furries.
This is concerning because, yes, they are actually siblings. He does work for SBI. And the fact that he wanted to talk about sexy dogs while working with dogs constantly is a bit concerning.
Yep.
He was also on Gotham Knights, which is something that they had up here. So you can see that there's proof that they worked on Gotham Knights. Sean specifically got to work on it. That's the brother. He retweets somebody who's former Ubisoft. And then here's him interacting recently with Lego Butts, which is, I think,
so the developers of Gotham Knights was Warner Brothers Montreal. They're Canadian.
Yeah. So this person works for, they're the narrative director for Warner Games Montreal, which I assume is how they actually got to work on the game. Because this person is not low level, they're a director. They probably were able to say, hey, hire our friends. Now, there's another interesting thing over here. This is how these people function. So this over here is for Unknown 9. This is the entry credits. So there's actually 3 Sweet Baby Inc. individuals who are listed here, but only one of them is listed as Sweet Baby Inc. David, right here, who is the brand content manager at Reflector, is one of the co-founders for SBI. Now, the other person on here is this person, Ariadne, which is the associate producer. This is the co-founder and the co-host of the podcast, but this person is the co-founder of SBI. So they've hired their friends. This is the Unknown 9. We knew it was an SBI baby, but this is literally their baby. This is their writing.
My goodness.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Protect the dogs.
Did you make this map, Sam?
Yeah, bro.
No,
Yes, I made this.
Wait, you made this map?
I made this. This
Holy
is all
shit.
me. I've archived it.
I thought she said that was a Twitter account that had
That
it.
is autism at work right there.
Yes.
No, they fucked up.
I
got
was
the autism
half kidding
now.
when I asked that question.
No, I seriously made all of this. There's
Holy
notes
shit.
and there's even more. I have a
I'm
whole Discord that I
actually
map everyone.
Impressed.
Wow. Well, there
Is this
was
what
a
you do all
reference.
day?
Yes, this is
Yeah.
all she does. Yes. But
This is
listen,
what I do.
Clips her
so
toenails and makes maps.
since we have to protect the dogs, okay? We have to protect the dogs.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat.
Okay, we're not going to play the whole thing, but
Where
I had
do
to play
you
that.
find this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't even everything. Like I've archived most of their tweets actually. So even if they delete them, it doesn't matter. But like, you know, this guy Sean, her brother, he gave me so much gold and so many different connections to go off of. This isn't even everybody, but there were a lot of suspended accounts, a lot of deleted accounts. But almost all of these people link to Ubisoft in some way.
That's crazy, man.
And then
That is
if you look at their past and then who they work for currently, they have connections to them as well. They're on client lists and things like that.
And what it comes down to is it's important to vet these people because you don't know, if you don't know who these people are, you don't know where they're coming from, you don't know what they're doing, you know, like Savvy's pointing out, these all are in-house people. They all work with each other and for each other, and then one of them will convince somebody to hire them into a leadership position. They'll hire all their friends, and they're like fucking cockroaches.
So
and
this
now
is
these
what makes this extra scary. I'm sure you guys might have seen the Raise the Game thing. So this is a UK initiative to get more game companies to sign a pledge to spread DEI, right? So if you scroll down halfway through their page, oh, hang on, their website's so slow, sorry. So if you come down here, there's this fellow, right? James Dodd of Martin Tripp Associates. And his quote right here is really stupid. What is Martin Tripp Associates? Well, Martin Tripp Associates actually installs C-suite level executives into various companies. So if we come down here, their services, here we go, their services sectors, here we go, this is what I want, media, technology, information and data, events, gaming. If we come down to gaming, they admit as gaming headhunters, we have worked with some of the world's largest gaming studios and pre-launch startups. We have placed producers, studio heads, development, engineering, tech, AI leads, creative leads, commercial leads, more and more, blah, blah, blah. Why is this a big deal? Well, that guy, James Dodd, actually is on the board of the thing that made Raise the Game. Why is that important? Well, guess who signed the fucking pledge? Literally everyone, almost. Bandai Namco, which bought out the studio that made
From
no shit.
the stupid SBI game, Unknown 9. If we keep scrolling down the list here, I'll try to make it fast because I know that this is boring for people. You're going to see a lot of names you know, a lot of names you don't know. High Res, which they just basically had layoffs. Liquid, Lab 42, Lucid, Martin Tripp Associates. Look at that because the guy made it. You've got In Dreams, Niantic, who ruined Pokemon Go. Rare.
And some of these are fucking
Rocksteady.
Rocksteady.
And some of these are also fucking independent publishers too. Like, yeah.
Jesus.
So,
Square Enix.
Square Enix. Actually, so if I come back up here to F, Fire Sprite's on here. I think Firewalk was. I don't see it. Anyway, and then if we come down here, so if we keep oh look, Ubisoft. Who knew?
Yep.
If we keep academic doesn't matter. So these are the pledge supporters, which are representative groups of other organizations involved in the industry, blah, blah, blah. You're going to see a lot of the usual suspects. You're going to see gaming, which was recently outed for providing positive press in exchange for money. And Melanin Gamers. Why is Melanin Gamers important for bringing up here? Well, if we come back to my map here, if we come back here all the way back in 2017, guess who's a big fan of Kim Belair? Melanin Gamers. And if you guys don't remember that name, they were
I
the ones who
remember.
were trying to vet out Minecraft, Call of Duty, and bully other studios into saying, hey, we're going to create a ranking system for how toxic games are.
Yeah.
Dropping fire emojis in the chat. She's cooking.
Fire emojis in the
This
chat.
is literally
She's
what I
doing
do
exactly.
all day.
Y'all-
This is what she's
Y'all-
doing. What a woman should do. She's
Y'all-
cooking.
What I've been saying.
She's digging up the past.
What have I been saying?
The best. Well done, Savvy. That was.
Yeah.
I had no idea that you were gonna go that ham.
Well, I didn't plan on
so,
sharing all of this on here
yeah.
because I typically don't share the dry stuff, but I'm just really pissed off today.
Yeah, that's
Come
good.
on now.
That was damn good stuff right there. So
Keep going.
she can't figure out how to buy a fucking game, but she can do all this autistic shit.
She can't walk up or downstairs, but she can make a fucking conspiracy map. But no, listen, this is important. These people are in all of your games.
Yes,
They're
all of
fucking
them.
up your games. It's a goddamn conspiracy.
Let's go.
And I've been saying it since the beginning.
He has been saying it since the beginning. So, Savvy, why is Nintendo not mentioned in any of this?
Come on now.
Well, that's the interesting thing. Nintendo likes to keep to themselves. I think there is crossover because Niantic is contracted to Nintendo. Obviously, they have to get the Pokemon companies shit, whatever. I have not been able to directly tie anyone to the Japanese studio, but I can do social crossovers between the US one and some of these other people. But the US Nintendo America doesn't make major choices. Same thing with the American Pokemon side of things. They don't make any major choices for anything. But I'm working on that. However, there is bad Nintendo news because even though they're going to do the remaster for Xenoblade Chronicles, they're doing it for the globalized version, which is censored instead of the Japanese version.
Yeah, credit the master of TDS who always is
Yes.
getting a lot of information out there, and I think
Yeah,
he
initially found it.
Yep. So, well, that's damn good information right there. So, Hey, Savvy, you should do streams of your process. I know you think it would be boring, but I think you may end up creating an army of autists that would help do your research. You're doing. I see it as a net benefit. I actually agree with Hayden. I don't think that it would be boring. It would not be boring.
Most of the time I'm sitting there just scrolling people's Twitters and screen capping, and I just worry that there'd be long strings of just me making stupid faces. And then talking to myself. There's a lot of that, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I do worry because I do try to boil things down to not make it as this stuff is dry reading, especially when I read some of the stuff that they put out. But one of the other things today too, just to continue with a rant and say how useless these people are. So people also didn't know this got overlooked. So Sony shut down 2 studios today. It wasn't just Firewalk, but they also shut down Neon Koi. And you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, I've never heard of this. Apparently Sony bought them a few years ago, 2 years ago. And they were so excited to have access to Sony's IP that they didn't do anything. I've been trying to find any example of anything that they've worked on. Chris Rock, who apparently started it, he is a Californian graduate who went over to either Germany or Finland. For some reason, they have two offices. It says Helsinki here, but they have 2 offices. And the entire time, they're posting about Happy International Women's Day, looking for workers, make a splash. Oh, we're eating donuts today. We have stickers. We're hiring. But my favorite post is this one. At Neon Koi, we take work hard, play hard. Seriously, a studio perk. Each new team member receives their very own PlayStation 5. These people have worked on nothing. Supposedly, they work on mobile games, but they've produced absolutely nothing, and Sony shut them down as well. This is who Sony decided to buy. Their website is atrocious, and it's full of DEI rhetoric, just in a really weird way, though, because it talks about how humble they are and how hungry they are to learn and make something amazing. But again, they have zero game anywhere. And it's really frustrating because actual studios have been overlooked by this. Talented people are overlooked for people like this to get free shit on a payroll from a major publisher that provide nothing to the industry. I'm not kidding when I say I can't find a hint of this. They rebranded from Savage Game Studios into Neon Koi, and that was it. This dude apparently gave a talk on AI, and that's it. That's all I can find for productivity. There is nothing. This chick is just eating fucking ugly ass donuts. Look at the amount of sugar on there. Holy shit. Like, it's
These
pathetic.
people are disgusting
Let's back
and
off on the
insane.
donuts, okay? All right.
No,
Let's
I will not back off on anything.
Back off on the donuts, Savvy, okay? Listen.
This is an
It
insane
was a
amount of research
suggestion.
you've done.
Now it's a warning,
This
okay?
isn't even half of what I have. This is
Oh, I
just
know.
from one thing that I was sent yesterday. This doesn't even like I can connect all of like half of these people. I can go back here. This stupid thing. I can connect some of these people to the ghost of Yotai chick. Same thing with back. If I come back over here to the stupid this thing, I can tie these people to the same 50 fuckers. They keep starting multiple podcasts. They start up multiple consulting things. If where is it? I think I had the screenshot on here. Did I post it here? I don't remember. I've lost all my notes. I have so many of these fucking boards. But basically there was, oh no, I put it on my Twitter because I exposed something else. There's a chick who was on the podcast who had her own podcast, but then she works for Ubisoft, and then it's just the same thing. They try to look bigger than they are.
Yeah, and you're like, where's all this money coming from, and where are they getting the money to do this?
Government.
The government.
Yeah, most of it is government funded, but Ubisoft appears to be ground zero. Like, every single person so far has connected back to Ubisoft.
Yeah. Well, this is insane. And it goes so much deeper than that. We don't realize how deep this nonsense goes. That's the problem. And the more you look into this, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I just know this would be like a bigger rant too, to give him a chance. But as somebody, Ripa, who works in the independent sector, who started your own company from the ground up, like, for you and your vetting process and picking people that you want to hire, things like that, like how many times a day do you get emails from people reaching out saying, yo, I'd like to work with you, or yo, we can collaborate on things? Every day.
Quite literally every fucking day. And in more ways than one. I mean, sometimes it's obviously, you know, as be it a creator or doing something like within the company. Sometimes it's more than investor like aspect. I've said a million times, I probably turned down as much money as I made here, or we have as far as the company is concerned. I mean, yeah, you have to have some sort of vetting process. And, you know, I say it all the time. It's not to say that, I mean, hell, I don't know if I'd have enough people to start a company if all I hired were anarcho-capitalists, right? So it's not about just hiring people that think exactly like you politically or socially. It's about doing your due diligence to understand if they're going to be like problem child, and if they can keep it at the door, right? If they have whatever political or social perspective or position, can they separate that from their work? Have they shown that they can do that? And oftentimes, as for example, we're looking at Savage still go through this rabbit hole here, you see that they can't, right? They have it in their bio. They pretty much are always bragging about it when you go look at the actual paper trail. Those are the people that you don't want to be hiring, right? It's one thing if they can have a position and separate it, but if they can't separate it, then those are not the types of folks that you should be dealing with. But every company independent that's going to see some success, you're going to get these fucking rats that are probably going to try to infiltrate. As Savvy has shown, a lot of these guys are, it's not just major studios. It's not just major companies, right? There's these independent ones that they're either consulting for or have people that they're planning there. You just have to be smart about it. And it's something that you have to anticipate. If you see success. When you don't see any success, yeah, you might be all right. But once you start seeing success, the rats they're gonna come straight up.
100%.
Yes, sir.
Hooking, bro.
All right,
Sorry,
we're gonna.
I just added a few things too, just that way I can. What I was circling on, this is what I was talking about. So this person was, they were signed on. They deleted their bio after Sweet Baby Inc. got kind of exposed. But so this is apparently the project coordinator for Sweet Baby Inc. obsessed with sexuality, says, now that I work in games, I can confidently say I don't understand how games get made.
Holy fucking shit.
This person has a podcast. Shocker. Come over here. We connect devs across all platforms and continents through skating and gaming. Keep in mind, has no idea how games are made. And then their co-host is a level designer for Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Level design has you Googling some dumb shit like, how do stairs actually look?
Holy fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's
this is how the industry has ended up in this place. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, and that's why people I think need to understand, like, our way out of this is not going to be expecting companies that exist that own your favorite IPs or have had success in the past. Therefore, they have like this money because banks or whatever are willing to invest in them because of their track record. It's not going to be through them. Why? Because it's pretty deep, right? It's nepotism. No, actually, I think the more accurate term is cronyism, right? Definitely what we're dealing with, like these sort of mega corporate entities, right? They're hiring their bros, which in itself isn't necessarily bad per se. But if you are hiring folks that are completely unqualified, and then when they work for you, they kind of showcase that they are unqualified in their positions, then yeah, you're dealing with a bunch of issues. So this is industry wide. These types of fucking rats, I don't know what else to call them, fucking rats, work for probably every company that you can conceptualize. Our way through this shit is not going to be through Ubisoft, through Warner, or through Activision, or through any of those fucking companies whatsoever. It's just that it's too many of them, and you get, and I hate to get too political, but you know, fucking we've talked about Trump, so I think it's fair enough for us to fucking at least acknowledge some of the.
I personally never like to talk about politics myself.
right
ahead,
to the but if you understand like the history of communism, or rather leftism in general, state leftism, they play the long game. Okay, when they start to show themselves, it's not going to be overnight. I think what we have now is everything that's coming to fruition, right? But this has been a long-term infiltration. They did it with your school systems and education, right? They've done it with all the academia, right? They've done it in all of entertainment, right? I mean, specifically Hollywood, and we can go down that rabbit hole of their connection with historically communism, and how we are here and why they all seem to adopt as far as publicly, right? Because when they aren't public, you end up like Zachary Levi and all of these other guys. The only position that you can have politically and be okay within their ranks is state leftism, right? And it's like that from top to fucking bottom. And this is why I'm saying our way out of this is going to be through independent creation and independent ownership. I think that's important. And like, you're going to have to be detached. Your core structure is going to have to be detached from whatever infrastructure that they are utilizing. That's the only way we are getting out of this. That's it. It's the bottom line. I'm not trying to burst people's bubble. I think there's reason for optimism, but if your optimism is anticipating that some major company is going to pivot, I think you're look at this shit. Like when you see something like, now imagine if we extrapolated from that information and just looked at some other things, other companies and what their connections, it's going to look the same way, right?
Yeah.
Our way out of this is not going to be through those companies. It's just their harsh reality.
Because it's baked into their identity now. Their entire DNA structure has changed.
Yeah.
It's all different. Yep.
It's insane,
and that's
man.
the thing.
Yeah, this is
It
why
is,
I
and
get
it
really
means-
angry over this, because like people are just like, okay, well, it shut down. We won. No, that makes it worse. They were consolidated in one place, making their own IP. Now they're going to be split up. Now they're going to go to their friends. They're going to get installed into these other studios. They're going to bring their trash tier quality writing, their trash fucking ideas, their toxic positivity, their HR mom bullshit. And it's still going to be the same cycle. That's why we need to remove the way that companies receive investments based off of scores that are completely arbitrary. The social element of ESG is the easiest thing for a company to do because it inherently doesn't require any decent input. In order to go for the environmental side, you have to completely restructure things. It's not just your fucking thermostat and your light bulbs. Yeah, that's part of it. But, you know, by reducing energy output for whatever fucking reason, however the methodology is, it requires money. To do the social element is the lowest possible way to boost it.
Well, we're going to find out how soon or how long this continues next week, because that's going to have a lot to do with it. It doesn't have everything to do with it, but
I think but this is the thing though. I think even if, right, and I've talked about this on Blaze, like, I mean, hell, we were talking about it today. Let's assume that Trump wins by a goddamn landslide, right?
Yeah.
Which it has and needs to be.
But that's what it, like, I mean, all accounts, it looks like that right
looks
now,
good,
right?
But he needs to popular vote, and he needs to have over 300 electoral college votes.
Yeah, but let's say that he does that. It's probably going to have the same impact, if not worse, because remember what we dealt with in 2016. They get pissed off, right?
Yes.
These guys get angry and they feel like, well, now especially it is my time to use that entertainment structure or whatever I have that is in proximity as my vehicle to try to reverse this bullshit. And that's how you ended up with so much nonsense starting in 2016, right? That's why it happened the way that it did, because these people believed that it was their duty to use their art, to use their entertainment, to use whatever they had close to them as their vehicle to spite their ideological enemies, okay? If Trump wins again, it might be worse. It might be, as I'm saying, worse as far as their reaction. These fuckers are going to be spiteful. They're going to be angry. They're going to be aggravated, and they're going to produce more of this dog shit.
I would argue, and I don't disagree with your point, I would argue that being as like real as I can about it, like Trump walked into office in 2016 not knowing shit.
Yeah.
And having a terrible group of people around him, and he picked awful people from the awful group that he had to pick from. Now he's walking in there with a whole different group of people, actually established people that have been there that want to see things changing. And Elon Musk is the key to all of this. Like, it's Elon Musk. Like,
I'm so glad it's him.
Owning Twitter and changing the entire landscape of social media. Now you got Jeff Bezos out there saying, yeah, the American people don't trust the media. Elon Musk is the key to this. It's not even Trump anymore. It's Elon. The most powerful, richest man in the world, one of the smartest people on the planet, a historical figure. Having him backing Trump. And again, 2 years ago, I said Elon and Trump need to get on the same page. I still can't comprehend that Elon is such an advocate for Trump at this point. I can't fucking believe it.
So I'm glad you brought up Elon, because actually there's another thing that is directly tied into this that connects to Elon in a very scary way. So I'll be really brief with this because, again, it's a little bit dry. So Logically AI partnered with Take This Org, and they received the $669,000 DHS grant 3 years ago. It expired. It didn't get renewed. Logically AI's president is a former FBI agent who was part of the government disinformation board that was started and shut down because both Republicans and Democrats didn't like how this is the Disinformation Governance Board. They didn't like how broad their scope was and how they didn't define what they were actually going to look into and what they were calling misinformation. This came only weeks after Elon bought Twitter. The other individual who is going to be running the Governance Disinformation Board specifically dislikes Elon Musk. She said that she was afraid of free speech absolutists, whatever the heck it is. This one. Last week I told
that's Josh Hawley
NPR,
right there.
I shudder to think if free speech absolutists were taking over more platforms, what that would look like for the marginalized communities.
Jesus.
Keep in mind, now, Logically AI actually works with a lot of leftist American governments. They are a British-born company that already works with American governments, and the way that they go through misinformation is by deboosting it. They are also Facebook's partner, and the reason why so many people were silenced back for COVID. They would flag posts, Facebook would deboost it, and then the other thing that they want to do, which is actually against every single platform's terms of service, including their partners, is they are working on natural language models to deploy bots directly to engage with what is defined as misinformation, which is classified as misinformation based off of government-controlled information that they're checking it against. So they want to deploy bots to be able to basically harass people. The other thing that they want to do is they don't just want to, beyond social listening, follow narratives, not just trends.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
so
damn,
this
you
directly connects to Elon.
You are full of information. You are full of info tonight.
Remember, like, what Elon dealt with when he bought Twitter, too? He had to start going on a firing spree because there were people inside the company itself that were releasing personal information, releasing, you know, what he was doing, the internal structure of what he was doing. They were trying to get things shut down. They were trying to put things into the programming of Twitter itself so that that it would function even without their being here. Like, all of this shit was things that he had to deal with when he first took over. And fortunately, you know, he had a team full of autists that also were diving just as deep, you know. But that's the thing, like, they're building systems that can survive without them, so that way they can implode systems. Because the thing is, it's not even about we need to win. It's about we'd rather see the whole thing burn to the ground if we can't have the power systems that we want. That's why what Rip is saying, and that whole idea that we talked about with the parallel economy, it's not just about running against other companies and having an alternative to other companies. Is so that when these companies do burn themselves to the ground to prevent anybody from having any infrastructure, Hollywood will blow itself up and implode itself to stop people from taking over and having the resources that they have available. So having a parallel economy with people with other resources and other things and the ability to help and create new infrastructure, you will have nothing. You would just have you just have salted earth everywhere. That's the point of what they're trying to do.
I think that to echo that sentiment, I think that's why these guys that have been in the industry so long are so like so fixed in their ways to the point to where they attack other people or other, whether it be businesses and what have you, that are disconnected from their infrastructure, and they delegitimize it, right? Because that's really, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, that's the kind of key out of this, right? It's not just about being sort of this alternative to your point. It's like you're doing things your own way because you often have to be, and I speak again from experience, forward thinking enough to where if some shit does hit the fan, can you still last, right?
Yes.
Because if you're still building it upon what they have done, right? This is why I was so, I think people see it now, right? But I know you probably remember this, Mike. So many folks are saying when I started the Rippaverse, they were against me using my own website, right? And they were against me using my own handling our own distribution, right? Those were I can tell you right now, 2 years removed from that, those were the two best decisions that I made from the business perspective than anything else, to anything creatively that I had ever done, right? Me having maintained that and control that, right? It opened up also other opportunities that I didn't even see, just because because think about it, Ripperson doesn't happen, right? If I don't have control of the distribution, right? So I think that's why they attack that shit like that so much, is because it's like, if we can delegitimize it, it'll deter people from trying new things and building their own infrastructure, because that's when they can't control you, right? And that's what they fear the most.
And what do we see happen with Ripple in the very beginning when everything was about to launch? PayPal shut down half of your money and said, "Yo, you
I
can't
had to get lawyers involved in this shit to get, because they had over $1 million just holding it."
And this is another thing, and this goes to Ripple's point, and Savvy's talked about this: credit card companies getting involved with DEI, preventing you from making transactions, preventing you from buying things, shutting people's bank accounts down, locking people out of their own money because they said, well, we don't agree with your position anymore, so we don't want to do business with you. So all this stuff, all your resources that now had to go through us in order to be used, now you can't use it anymore.
The payment processors are some of the worst for this. And this will be the last bit of dry information that I give you. And one of the reasons why I'm still concerned about all of this is back in 2016 and 2017, on Trump's little board that he had for a while was actually the CEO, Stephen A. Schwartzman, of Blackstone. Blackstone does promote DEI and ESG around the world so that way they can get the same government benefits elsewhere as they get over here in America, even though that he is a lifelong Republican. He had a hand in the USA, Canada, and Mexico trade agreement, and he helped with that. Now, Blackstone invested nearly $2 billion into an e-reading manga platform, which is the whole reason why I started doing a deep dive on them. So this is, again, why I say that it needs to be removed from the tax benefits, from all government initiatives, and all of that trash, because even a lifelong Republican is exporting ESG and DEI elsewhere because he gets really good benefits here in America despite knowing Trump. And I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know what that's going to be. He's also part of the WEF. He has his own page. It's annoying. This guy doesn't even believe in it. It's not part of something he talks about regularly. He doesn't care about it. In his own book, the way that he evaluates people to hire is he has a conversation with them, right? Like a normal fucking person. And yet they still have the DEI page. They still export it. And they are the largest shareholder on the Sony payment processor. They are investing heavily into real estate. They are actually causing the global housing crisis. They buy up real estate. They have a real estate trust fund, which is what companies put their money into. So that way then they can make more money. They jack up rent between 40 to 80% over the course of 3 years. They completely ruined an entire city in Switzerland and got out before the union board could actually do anything about it and prosecute them for basically violating tenant laws. I'm sorry, the U.S. Mexico-Canada trade agreement was 2018, but he was on the board for a while. I think it was started in 2017. And it's not fun. Yeah, if I get disappeared, I didn't kill myself.
Yeah. And so excellent work, Savvy. And I want to give a big shout out to Fear the Beardo for assisting in all of that. You had really good takes, Beardo. I mean, you were just spot on right there, buddy.
Yeah,
so
he was just cooking.
I agree.
Yeah, good job. Good job, buddy.
There was actually one thing I wanted to say, and it's a little off topic now because we've moved a little bit away from it. But Ripa said one thing about Trump being reelected, and hopefully he does, but about the industry doubling down and going against Trump and against the right-wing narrative and everything. Right now we have some gray area in video games and with entertainment and movies and TV shows. I think when Trump gets reelected, we're going to see that gray area go away. I think we're going to see a drastic change with people who they're just going to go full blown. They're going to go full blown left or full blown right. We're not going to have this gray area anymore. We are totally against the right and we are totally against the left. I think that's what we're going to get when Trump is reelected in our entertainment.
I especially with you see a lot of the people speaking up about it. And yeah,
I think more people would speak up too. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
say like, this is nonsense. This is what we're forced to do. This is
Yeah.
what the censorship we're forced to enact. Like we've already seen with some of the Japanese creators, because they are exporting all of this, and then the payment processors censor them and ruin businesses.
Yeah.
Hobby shops have been forced to shut down for not being able to do business with overseas customers because payment processors request them to censor things, which is where I get the most pissed off because that's my shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and once again, like whenever anybody comes out of the woodwork, like Zachary Levi, and they have dog piled on him.
Yep,
But what did he
have.
say? He goes, "I know these people. I'm talking to all of them. They're all going. There's a ton of people voting for Trump, big name people in the industry, and none of them want to say anything because they don't want to lose their jobs." That's why if you can start your own stuff, if you can actually create an infrastructure where they know that they can fall back on it and help you, and you're going to help them, they'll jump on. But it's like right now it's so bad, it's just squeezing people out of the woodwork that go, you know what, I can't take it anymore. Like Zachary Levi just couldn't do it anymore. You know, and so I think it is going to keep growing but also we have to be able to provide infrastructure for them to fall back on and be able to provide them alternatives to look towards and go, I can trust that these guys are going to have my back. And like Gina's a great example. What did we do when Gina got fired by Disney? We rallied around her. We said, yo, we got your back. Don't worry. We're supporting you, whatever you got to do. And now she's got fucking Elon Musk money backing her lawyers, going toe to toe with Disney. That's one person going toe to toe with one of the biggest companies in the world, a company that almost every other person that has tried to go toe to toe with them has had to settle out of court, has never been able to get to trial about them, has never been able to publicly expose them. They are panicking about this because nobody's ever had fuck you money to be able to go toe to toe with the mouse like this. And now they are. And it's because we rallied around her and made her uncancelable.
And this is what I was saying. Zachary Levi, this is his take, and I think this is the take of a lot of people. And I certainly think that this is it right here.
I'm not voting for Donald Trump. I'm voting for Donald Trump and Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard and Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and JD Vance and everyone else that they're going to bring in this team, this Avengers, this Voltron, whatever you want to call it. And they're going to get in there and actually do what Donald Trump said he was going to do the first time, which is drain the swamp. And he has admitted that he couldn't do it and he didn't do it because he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't even think he was going to win the first time. And he had no time for his transition team. And then it was loaded with a bunch of sycophants and horrible people that were the swamp monsters that Bobby Kennedy has very accurately pointed out. And so now they're privately funding. I love this. That Trump is privately funding his own transition team, not waiting for the government. So they are ready to go and they are not compromised. That is the government that I want. That is that is something. Bobby is 100%. He and Tulsi are going to be let loose to be the bulldogs that we need to hold people to account. And by the way, and they will do it fairly. They will do it civilly. They will do it in love. I've sat with both of them. They are in.
So I think that's the mindset of a lot of people. And I mean, we'll see. We're going to find out what's happening. I'm obviously not, just assuming anything except this. I do assume that this is a great recap of what we just saw right here. So there you go. That's the recap.